I'm Jennifer Rooks, and this is Maine Calling. Sometimes people who have disabilities participate in the arts for therapeutic reasons, but often they simply enjoy expressing themselves through music, painting, dance, theater, and other art forms. And for some, it's a living. We talk with some of these creative Mainers and learn about programs that foster inclusive participation in the arts today on Maine Calling. This show is part of the Maine Calling series, Ready and Able, Living with a Disability in Maine. We are streaming it live on Maine Public's YouTube channel and Maine Public's Facebook page with ASL interpretation. Joining me today, Emma B. Geller, who is a singer and songwriter with the Maine Academy of Modern Music. Emma.
Hi, my name is Emma B. Geller, and I'm going to give a visual description. I have short brown hair and dark tinted sunglasses and a purpley pink shirt with a soft texture.
Also with us, Michaela Knox, a dancer, choreographer, and teacher who founded Spark Dance Program. Michaela.
Good morning. My name is Michaela. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with long auburn hair and glasses wearing a black top.
All right. And Kings Floyd, a disability rights activist and writer who also performs comedy. Hi, Kings.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for having me. Kings, I use she, her pronouns. I present as a white woman with dirty blonde hair and a ponytail today with black glasses and a pink floral shirt. Thanks for having me.
Well, we are so thrilled to have all of you. And for those of you listening right now, we invite you to join in the conversation. Do you have a disability and do you express yourself through the arts? Do you know someone? Is there a family member who you have seen flourish or you would like to find out opportunities for that person? You can send us an email, talk@mainepublic.org, post a comment in Facebook or Instagram, or as always, give us a call, 1-800-399-3566. Again, 1-800-399-3566. Well, Emma, I'm going to start with you. You are a singer and songwriter, and I just want to find out your story. How did you come to express yourself through music? Is this something you've done ever since you were little, or has it come to you later in life?
Yeah, so I've loved music since I was really little, and I started playing piano when I was 7, and then I actually started writing music when I was 7.5. And my Gramps, I watched him play piano, and I just was fascinated, and so from a very young age, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay. It's interesting to me, Emma B., that you said you watched your grandfather. Have you progressively lost your eyesight over your life? Tell us about that part of your experience.
Yeah, so in the past maybe 5 years, I have been having more visual impairment, and I actually kind of find it a blessing for my music. I feel like I get into it more and I just feel it. And I think when I'm playing with less vision, I think I'm better at it and I think I enjoy it more, which can help other people enjoy it more.
That's fascinating. Of course, many people will hear you say that and they'll think of Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder. And I'm wondering,
My dad calls me his mini Ray Charles.
does he really?
Yeah.
That's great. And I want to just ask you what music means to you.
Music means everything to me. Music is my life. I hear music in every sound. And it means connection, it means communication, and people see me for more than my disability when they hear my music. For example, I was just at Maine Medical Center for 6.5 months, and I had the opportunity of going and playing the piano for everyone. And I turned from sick girl to piano girl. Oh, you're the piano girl.
Oh, that's wonderful. I sure wish you had a piano right here today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I want to turn to you, Kings. Tell us your story. You are a comedian. I've seen you perform. You're very funny. How did you come to comedy?
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, this is Kings. I came to comedy somewhat organically. I gave a TED Talk in 2019, and one of the TED Talk coaches, Tim Farrell, who I believe has been on the program before, was a coach for TED. That was great. I was living in DC at the time, uh, and moved back to Maine during the pandemic and really needed an outlet. Tim teaches a comedy class. I had worked with him before, and I thought it was a new challenge. I have spoken in front of 400,000 people before and was somehow more daunted to speak in front of 100 family and friends and Portland neighbors than I was speaking at the Women's March back in DC, because it was a challenge, but it's been an incredible challenge so far.
I'm wondering, you are also an advocate and a professional um, in the world of disability rights. And I'm wondering, do you see your comedy as part of your advocacy work, or is this completely different? This is Kings?
Oh no, it definitely is interwoven. I work in politics, so there's definitely politics interwoven in my comedy. I've worked in government, so there's definitely a little needling of some of the quirks or sticky areas of our system, as well as just commenting on the news. But I think my first comedy set was really about my experiences that I've had in Portland and more broadly about non-disabled people interacting with me and kind of their preconceived notions and what they brought to the table and how I navigated them, but all presented in a comedic way so that it was understandable and accessible, pun intended, to an audience.
That is ironic, isn't it? Making your experience accessible to others. I can only imagine, Kings, that you have so many instances in your life that are, the mild word would be frustrating. The more accurate word would probably be infuriating, because you do live your life in a wheelchair. And, you know, anybody who's been to any downtown in Maine knows that there are a lot of inaccessible places. And you're talking about your interactions with people. And I'm wondering if, because you do comedy, it helps keep you from sort of sliding into being furious all the time, but instead seeing the humor when somebody says something wildly inappropriate or something like that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is this a way of dealing with the daily frustrations?
Yeah, Jennifer, that's a great question. I think probably the best example of that is, when, like Emma B. Geller said, when you live the music, you want to be around music, right? Me being in comedy, I want to be around comedy. The ironic thing is, neither of the premier comedy clubs in Portland are accessible. I've tried to reach out to them to engage in how they might be more accessible, and they're not interested in having those conversations. At the same time, like, I can either be infuriated about it or I can use it as comedic fuel and see the irony, and channel that into my work.
I want to turn to you, Michaela. When you founded Spark Dance, you set out to make it inclusive, as inclusive as possible. Why did that matter to you?
Well, thank you all. Thank you for the question, Jennifer. This is Michaela speaking. I noticed the trends in dance education in terms of inclusion and access were really quite segregated. So we'd see a lot of adaptive dance classes that were specifically for people with disabilities. And I was interested in creating something different because I really believe that society is disabled still in a lot of ways. And in fact, that we have work to do to make our programming more accessible to everyone. So my intention was to have classes with people with and without disabilities together so that the barriers could be dissolved in those groups, and that experience of connecting with someone who you maybe wouldn't connect with typically would change people a little bit. And in fact, that connection could carry over into other areas of everyone's life. Personally, I am not someone with a disability. I have a child with a disability. So my fire, the fuel in my fire, has very much to do with creating a more inclusive society for my son, for my students, my colleagues, my friends. So it has become something I'm really passionate about. And we have a lot of programming happening here in Maine, which is really exciting. It's been incredible to see what's happened just in 6 years.
Do you have both students who are adults and children?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've had programming in 11 different towns in Maine. And often our classes will be in community settings that are accessible to everyone. About 70% of our students are adults with intellectual or developmental disabilities. We'd like to see that number more at 50%. So the people without disabilities, those are the ones we're also really trying to recruit so that, again, we can create those diverse containers. We believe that the more diverse the group is, the richer the learning will be, and the more opportunity we'll have for decreasing those stigmas that sometimes separate us.
Well, joining us on the line now is Denis Boudreau, who is a longtime artist and painter who is blind. Thanks so much for calling in, Denis.
Well, you're welcome. Good morning.
You have been an artist for many decades, and you began your painting career before you lost your sight and now continue to paint. How has your work changed, and how has your approach to your work changed?
Well, my painting, I started painting when I was 12 years old. So there's been a lot of experimenting throughout my life. And I started painting in the Impressionist style and eventually blended into abstract expressionism. And but since I've lost my eyesight 15 years ago completely, and now I have to change my style altogether. And with the help of my wife and a good friend, they assist me in completing my work.
How are you able to picture what you want to paint and mix the colors that you want? Do you envision everything and just communicate the best you can?
I do. I a lot of times I dream in painting. I dream paintings, and the next day I try to continue to remember them first of all. And my wife has had art training, so if I ask her to mix me a certain color, which I've mixed thousands of colors before, and so if I need a certain gray or something like that, she can mix it for me, and I'll apply it to I paint on masonite now, not canvas, because canvas after a while became too resistant, and I needed to flow with my brush. But now I'm not using a brush anymore. I'm going to have to be using something that I can imprint upon the board.
How do you know when a work is finished, whether you like it or not, whether it's what you hoped?
Again, I'm going to have to rely on my wife saying, yes, that's complete. And if she says, no, you can't sell it, then I know it's a good piece.
If you don't mind me
Tell me,
asking,
I understand that you're not just using your creativity in terms of your painting, but also in terms of living daily life. Tell us about a couple of your techniques.
Well, first of all, I'm also a sculptor, so that I can continue on by myself because it's all with, through feeling of my fingers. And I've worked with wood, steel, fiberglass, stone, just about every medium you could think of. And, yeah, I forgot what the question
I understand something about strings and getting around.
Oh, right. At one point, I was, getting tired of getting lost in my studio, and I've had many studios, but this particular studio, after I lost my eyesight, I was getting lost in it, and it's just very easy when you're blind. You make a turn, and then you forget where you are, and you stumble across something. So as I entered my studio, I put strings just about a foot above my head and running it from the door to the far wall. And then off of that main string, I put what I call avenues, and I ran some from each corner of my studio that I need to get to, and it makes it so much easier. And if I let go of those strings, I'm completely lost. But I paint on the floor. I don't use an easel, and so.
Denise, one of our guests today, Emma B. Galler, has a question for you. Emma B., go ahead.
I just find all of this so interesting. I was wondering, in your paintings, do you ever add textures? And if you do, how would you do that?
Texture, you say?
Yeah.
Well, not really. I mean, I was in my final, years when I still could see. I was really into very fluid, very large abstract shapes and brush strokes. And sometimes I did large paintings. I used one time a floor mop to get this very zen stroke on the canvas. But texture-wise, I really ever did anything other than smooth paint, I guess, because I have a lot of paintings that I've done in the past, hundreds, and I'll ask somebody to describe it for me, and they say feel this, but it's hard to feel a brushstroke.
Yeah.
Denise, before I let you go, I want to know if there's anything that you would like to say to anybody else who is an aspiring artist who may be living with a disability and feeling frustrated by that.
Don't ever feel frustrated. I'm talking as a blind person. You just never give up. And it's, having no sight, it's a dark world, and you just got to think about, keeping busy and inventing and keeping your mind, creatively, I would suggest, if anybody desires to paint, and they're losing their eyesight, it's a difficult thing because color is important, and the strokes that you put on the canvas are very important. But I suggest sculpting would be a medium that would be more rewarding, because you can feel shapes and you can feel smoothness and roughness and sharp objects and things like that.
Well, Denise, thank you so much for calling in. Denise Boudreau is an artist who is featured in a documentary short that premiered at the Maine International Film Festival this summer. We're going to take a quick break. This is Maine Calling. We'll be right back.
Maine Calling is made possible by listeners who donate and by Evergreen Home Performance, helping Maine homeowners with energy audits, insulation, and financing with Efficiency Maine's Green Bank. More at evergreenyourhome.com. and Johnson Hall Opera House in Gardner, presenting a film screening and Q&A with singer-songwriter Janice Ian September 24th. johnsonhall.org. On the next Speaking in Maine,
what happens when a radical isn't martyred and they actually grow up and they have children of their own and the conflict ends? How do they look back on the things they did in their 20s?
Patrick Radden-Keefe on the questions that led to his best-selling book, Say Nothing, an investigation into an unsolved murder in Northern Ireland in 1972. Join us for the third of our 6-part series from the 2025 College of the Atlantic Summer Institute. Speaking in Maine, Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock on Maine Public Radio. Join reporters from Maine Public and the Maine Trust for Local News for a series of listening sessions this fall. We're offering 2 different opportunities: Issues and Ale at local brew pubs, and Issues and Conversation at public libraries. Our first 2 events are happening at Marshall Wharf Brewing Company in Belfast on Tuesday, September 30th, and at Argenta Brewing Company in Portland on Wednesday, October 1st. For complete details and a full list of events, please visit mainepublic.org and click on Community.
Welcome back. This is Maine Calling. I'm Jennifer Rooks. We are learning about people in Maine who have disabilities, who are artists, musicians, and performers, and also about some programs that promote the arts for those with disabilities. With me this hour, Michaela Knox, who founded the Spark Dance Program and is a dancer and choreographer. Kings Floyd is a writer who is involved with comedy and a disability rights advocate. And Emma B. Geller is a singer-songwriter with the Maine Academy of Modern Music. Share your comments and questions. Send us a brief email, talk@mainepublic.org. You can comment on Facebook or Instagram or call us at 1-800-399-3566. Again, 1-800-399-3566. A reminder that today's program is being streamed live on Maine Public's YouTube channel and Maine Calling's Facebook page with ASL interpretation. On the line with us now is Liam Rademacher, who is a freelance artist and coordinator of Strive Studios. Thanks so much for calling in, Liam.
Thank you so much for speaking with me today, Jennifer.
Well, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about Strive and what you do there.
Yeah, so PSL Strive is an agency devoted to developing programs for people living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Part of our program, which I am coordinator for, is Strive Studios. And what Strive Studios is, we are a dedicated visual art and movement program, servicing primarily adults with intellectual disabilities. We have some programming for teens and young adults as well. And the primary focus behind Strive Studios is creating a space in the community where our participants and artists can build artistic skills, work collaboratively alongside each other on projects, and develop individual artwork with support from staff as needed.
Okay. Well, tell us, Liam, the benefits of participating in the arts for the people that come to Strive Studio.
Yeah, Strive Studios, the benefit we provide, I would say, comes mostly from, as I mentioned, collaboration. So having a space to work alongside your peers to develop skills in whichever medium you choose. We have offerings in digital art, painting, some more traditional mediums like drawing, printmaking. And the benefit of our studio space is we're really like an open laboratory for folks to come in, whether they have the experience or not, and really get hands-on and involved with the activities. And, working at home in a home studio works well for focus for some people, but there's such a collaborative process when you're working in a studio in the community alongside other artists, where you can get perspectives and lenses that you might not get just working at home. So we're really hoping to foster that environment of creativity for folks who come here.
Liam, I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you if you have a story or an aha moment or something that you just come back to again and again that you'd like to share about something that happened at Strive Studios.
Yeah, so within the last couple of years, we've been developing our digital art program as times have moved, digital formats really taking over. And iPads especially, which what we use, are very accessible for artists of all ranges. And as we've been developing our digital art program, I think one of the greatest things that I've been able to witness is seeing participants not only build these skills and start to create, expansive digital collages on the iPad, but take what they're learning and share that with other artists. We have participants who, as I mentioned, do a lot of digital collage work, and there's a lot of fine tuning and technical skills that go into creating those cohesive collages. And one of my favorite experiences is taking a step back and watching participants walk other artists through the process. Hey, I see you use this brush. Maybe you want to use this brush instead to get the effect you're going for. How do these certain commands on the iPad work? Well, let me show you. And I think it really is a community space where people work alongside together to create these incredible projects.
Well, thank you so much for calling us. That was Liam Rademacher with PSL Services and Strive Studios. Now calling in Manon Whittisley and Hazel Hanscom with Spindleworks at the Gardner location. Thanks for joining us today. And Manon, even hearing the Gardner location makes me know that people who maybe have been to Spindleworks in Brunswick, it's expanded over the years a lot. Tell us about Spindleworks and who you serve.
Hi, Jennifer. We're calling from Spindleworks Art Centers. We're calling from the Gardner location today. So Spindleworks has its 50th anniversary next year. We're a program of Independence Association. And our Gardner location is the newest location. We've been operating in the Gardner-Hollowell area since about 2009, and we reopened after COVID in 2021.
And I understand that Spindleworks was 50 years ago created with the idea of helping people with disabilities, but there have been some people as well who have become quite well-known artists because of the work that they started there, right?
Absolutely. So both locations support 60 individuals to be fully included in the arts. The way we work is that we function sort of as a all abilities art studio. So working artists, every working artist there is trained in supporting individuals with disabilities. And we teach skills in pretty much all art medias that are commonly used. And we offer tools for people to achieve their creative visions. So we really let the artists take the lead and share their project ideas with us, and then we do what we can to support that. We also work directly in the community to expand representation and grow opportunities to experience and participate in the arts. So we go visit shows and museums. We go do visits in artist studios, and we submit the work to different shows all around. So right now we have work in Brunswick and Gardner being shown at each location, but we are also a part of a show in Baltimore and one in Washington, D.C.
Wonderful. Now, I understand you're sitting there with one of your artists, Hazel. Can you introduce Hazel?
Hi, this is Hazel Hanscom.
Hi, Hazel. Tell us about your art.
I like painting, and I do Bull Eagle, and I draw, and I do a writing, and I do weaving.
Hazel, tell me about what it means to you to be able to do this artwork at Spindleworks.
It's awesome. I like it, and I do stuff like that. I like doing painting and stuff, and I like doing a paycheck and stuff, and but paying. I sold all my artwork. I did.
You've sold it all. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hazel Hanscom and Manon Whittisley, thanks so much for calling us. They're both with Spindleworks Arts Program in Gardner. Spindleworks about to celebrate its 50th anniversary. And thank you so much for taking part today. Michaela Knox, I want to circle back to you because when you were talking about dance, I was thinking a lot of people are very intimidated by dance. A lot of people are feel self-conscious, feel maybe like they can't do those things that dancers do. And I'm wondering if you experience that in your students and how you help people overcome that, whether it is your students who come to you with a disability or those who do not.
Such a great question. And yes, you're absolutely right. It happens a lot. And in fact, when someone says to me, "Oh, I don't dance, I'm not a dancer," I consider it a personal challenge to get them into a class, because actually the form of dance that we do in our classes, which is called danceability, it's rooted in improvisation. So it means that everyone there is going to be making choices for themselves. No one's going to be imitating anyone else like you might see in a more traditional dance class. So for someone with no dance experience at all, who doesn't identify as a dancer, they're going to be provided with an opportunity to discover something about themselves in a way that feels good. So like when Emma B was talking about that experience of tuning into the music more and her own sensation as her vision loss has increased, it made me think of sensation, like that ability we have to tune into our own intuition and make choices as individuals. We work with those concepts a lot. So for example, someone might come to a class and move one part of their body only. That's great. Someone might be in a power chair who is using their head and their one hand to express themselves with the music. Beautiful. Someone might move fast or slow. Someone might be constantly in motion and stimming the whole class. All of these possibilities happen simultaneously in this container, and it shows us a community, a community where everyone is making choices for themselves and being accepted for whatever dance is for them. It really shows us what's possible, I think, in society when we accept each other and meet each other as we are. So I would say come to a class. If dance isn't for you, I'll show you otherwise, because we have a lot of fun together connecting.
And Emma B. Geller, what about the intimidation factor of getting up on stage and singing for people? Have you always been okay with that, or did you have to come to be okay with that?
I've always really loved performing, and I've had a lot of opportunities to perform. I have sang the national anthem at the Sea Dogs. I've had a lot of MAM events. I've been busking in the farmers market, and soon I will be singing the national anthem at the Portland Hearts of Pine. Although I have to say, I'm not really nervous, and I don't feel intimidated with the music. Talking probably is different for me.
Really? So you feel more comfortable singing than talking?
Yeah, I think in general music is it's easier for me to communicate through music, and so I think since it's easier for me, I feel more comfortable with it.
And King's comedy is famously intimidating. So many people feeling like they are just laying themselves bare out on that stage. You said that speaking for 100 people here in Portland was more intimidating than speaking at a giant rally. How have you overcome that?
You do it again, Jennifer. I took my first class with Tim in 2020 or 2021. And I just signed up. I had my first class on Monday for my 5th class. I've also done a fringe festival and a few other comedy shows on the side. And so, the best way to overcome the fear is to do it, to practice, to do it again. And then you bomb and you mess up and you get over it and you do it again.
Well, we are speaking with three creatives, three artists who also happen to have disabilities. This is part of our series, Ready and Able, Living with a Disability in Maine. What are your questions? Give us a call, 1-800-399-3566. You can send, if you hurry, you can send a brief email, talk@mainepublic.org. We'll be right back.
You make Maine Calling possible with help from Community Health Options, health plan solutions made for Maine businesses. More at healthoptions.org. And Waterville Creates, offering plays, films, and classes. Learn more about the benefits of becoming a member at watervillecreates.org.
I'm Jane Clayson. 1 year ago this week, Hurricane Helene killed nearly 250 people and left a path of devastation from Florida through the Carolinas. As communities recover, we examine how the disaster has shaped the way people think about climate change. Next time on Here and Now.
Coming up at noon.
30 seconds.
Have you checked out the Maine Public online store? You'll find lots of fun and stylish new items to show your love for public radio in Maine. From t-shirts to sweatshirts and hats to mugs, there's something for everyone. Head to shop.mainepublic.org to see our latest selection, including our newly added kids and retro collections. The Maine Public Store, available at shop.mainepublic.org.
Welcome back. I'm Jennifer Rooks, and you are listening to Maine Calling. Today's program is part of our year-long series, Ready and Able, Living with a Disability in Maine. The topic today, disability and the arts. Our guest today, Kings Floyd, who is a writer and comedian and an advocate, Emma B. Geller, a singer-songwriter, and Michaela Knox, a dancer and teacher with Spark Dance. Join our conversation, 1-800-399-3566. You can send a brief email to talk@mainepublic.org or post to Facebook or Instagram. I'm going to go to an email here from Carl Little, who is, many of you know, as a writer about the arts. He says, as a result of macular degeneration, painter William Thon of Port Clyde could no longer see color, so he painted in black and white in his last years, creating some of his greatest work. He said, "My eyes are in my fingers." So interesting. Thank you, Carl. And Emma, I saw you smile. Do you feel as though you are using different senses as you lose your eyesight?
Yeah, I can really relate to the eyes are in my fingers thing, and I might have to use that. Yeah, I love that.
An email here from Bridget. At Waterfall Arts in Belfast, we have a weekly free drop-in art studio for adults called Creative Cafe. It's amazing to see the friendships that develop between young adults with autism and the joy they experience finding kindred spirits. I just want to offer apologies and shared frustration to the community of people with disabilities looking for accessible places to connect. Many arts nonprofits in Maine are working out of historic buildings that are incredibly difficult or impossible to make accessible. Until we can finance an entirely new structure, we can either have our programs off-site, the YMCA lets us use their space when they can, or just work around our limited facility. Philanthropists looking to make a difference, please consider supporting nonprofit organizations and help them reach their accessibility goals. Kings, I can hear you saying, "Hear, hear."
Yes, I'm nodding emphatically. I remember Portland used to have a program called Age Friendly Portland, where they would give ramps to local businesses that wanted to be accessible but had one or two stairs that prevented that. There are so many challenges in making spaces physically accessible. But I'm honestly, there are other alternatives as well. as the email you just read, moving to a different space. I've seen other organizations hold classes virtually. In the pandemic, there was like a mail-in art where you would get mailed the art supplies and have a virtual program. And so I encourage these organizations, if they're not doing so, to think outside the box. But I can just echo the frustration of running into the physical accessibility of programs, and they're getting to reach the right people.
We'll go to Sarah calling from Farmingdale. Hi, Sarah. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi there. Thanks so much for taking my question. My question is for Michaela and Spark Dance program. I'm really curious about hearing even more about how your classes go, and if we're interested in checking one out or becoming part of one, taking one of your classes, how do we find out where to go for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our classes are open to absolutely everyone, and we welcome drop-ins anytime. You can register for our current programming at sparkinclusivearts.org. We actually have a class starting tomorrow morning, in fact, for people in the Portland area at 10:30, Casco Bay Movers. So the beginning of a new session, if you're in that area, pop in. But our classes are designed to work with what is happening. So like a little example I'll give you, we begin in a circle always, and we end in a circle. If we're in a circle and one person is in a wheelchair in that circle, we'll grab another chair so that there are two people at the same level if other people are on the floor. It's little adjustments so that one person is never isolated on their own, sort of sets the stage. Like as a teacher, I'm looking who's isolated in this class, who needs support, and the class is designed to support each individual and meet people where they're at. Sometimes we have people who are vocalizing, stimming, moving in their own way. Nothing is perceived as a problem. It's all expression. So it creates a container where our students really feel safe to be themselves. We have a lot of fun, different types of music. We create performances. And yeah, you can learn more. We have classes this year in Auburn, Portland, and Brunswick, but a lot of opportunities to get involved.
Sarah, thanks so much for calling in. Kings, I'm going to turn back to you, and I'm thinking if you want to reflect on the role of arts in our society and then what people with disabilities bring to the arts.
Yeah, absolutely. So the role of art in our society, that's a big question. Art is expression, right? And I think our panel really demonstrates that, whether it's Michaela demonstrating the expression of connection and movement between dancers, or Emma B expressing the art of music and feeling, and how that kind of transcends beyond just visualization, as well as some of the other callers. For me, it is a form of advocacy, right? My comedy is based a lot on my life. Write about the things that are funny, write about the things that are frustrating, that cause friction, and a lot of those for me are the accessibility challenges. But I also write about my pets and my parents, and the cooking fails that I've had in the last few weeks. And so, the role of art is to make everyday life accessible, in the broader sense of the word accessible. And that's how I see my comedy, but then also a lot of the artists and our mediums on this call. And then, Jennifer, what was the second part of your question?
Well, just about, it's not lost on me that many famous artists and maybe famous artworks were composed or painted by people with disabilities. I mean, obviously a famous one is Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Emma B is told that she's like a little Ray Charles. I understand Michelangelo is believed to have had autism and severe osteoarthritis. And I'm wondering if there is something that people with disabilities bring to art that is, a certain level of human connection that maybe others do not have.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, art is expression. Art is a point of view. 1 in 4 people in the United States have a disability. 1 in 10 have a mobility disability. All of them have unique perspectives and lived experience that they may want to communicate with the world, and their disability, however it translates, is likely going to translate into whatever and however they're expressing themselves. I think we underappreciate and under-recognize the role that disability plays broadly in our society. Disability is the only demographic that you can join at any time in your life. And yet we see disability as an outlier or something that isolates when, the basis of Michaela and Emma B's and my comedy art is to connect people together and overlap those point of views to create a more broad understanding.
Emma B, you say that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Emma B.
That part about connection, it really resonates with me. I am on the autism spectrum, and I've always wanted to feel connection. And before this past year, I don't think I've ever felt connection. And then I had my music and I shared it every day with people at Maine Med on the piano and singing. And for the first time in my life, I felt connection. And it was just so beautiful.
I wanted to ask you, Emma B, what people say to you, whether it's at Maine Medical Center or when you busk. What are the comments that you get?
They vary. I think there's one comment, this one conversation I had with a woman. It was really deeply meaningful. Her daughter was actually going to have a heart surgery, and she was very scared, and she felt very, very alone. So I played one of my songs called "You'll Get Through," and she told me she felt a lot less alone, and I felt alone when I was a child and for a really long time. And so we found that connection together. And so that's one comment I've gotten. And then some other comments have been maybe more simplistic, like, "Oh, you're the piano girl," or "Thanks, it made my day," or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting too that to witness art, like, it inspires us so much to get to be an audience to different forms of art, but also the experience of making art together and identifying as an artist, whatever your form is, it gives us hope. And that's what I think a lot of people can identify with, that we need right now. Making art can give us hope, and it can connect us. It can remind us what we share with each other when we do it in community. So for me, that's a huge part of what art can do right now to move us forward.
Emma B, yeah, I wanted to ask you if it's possible, if people go to YouTube or something like that to hear or see your singing. Are you out there?
Yes, so I do have a YouTube channel. You just have to look up Emma B. Geller. I also have Instagram and Facebook. I am still learning how to do all of those things, so I don't have a lot up, but I do have a good amount. And I actually just had my first solo performance, so I have one song up from that, and it's called "I See the World from Different Eyes." And so I will be putting up more songs from that performance, and Yeah, people can go watch, and I would love for people to watch so they can feel the connection and the hope.
Kings Floyd, are you performing anytime soon? If not, can people find you on the internet?
People cannot find me on the internet. I have not necessarily posted all of my comedy. Definitely struggling to perform, as I mentioned, in spaces that are accessible, but I will be performing at the Hill Arts Theater coming up in November. Don't have a specific date for that, but hopefully stay tuned.
All right. We have one call coming in that I'm going to try to squeeze in. Frank in Falmouth. Hi, go ahead.
Hello, I'll be quick. I just want to put in a quick plug for a local artist here in Portland named Frederick Indabaramie. He's a Rwandan who lost his hand back in the genocide. Now he has his artwork in some of the galleries in Portland. And I know he's got work right now in the, what is this gallery's name? The Rue and Sire Gallery in Portland. Amazing work, as well as a book about his life called Frederick, A Story of Boundless Hope.
Wow. Well, thank you, Frank, for calling in and telling us that. And that is going to be our last word for this hour. Thank you all. Our guest for the hour, Emma B. Geller, a singer and songwriter with the Maine Academy of Modern Music. Michaela Knox, a dancer, choreographer, and founder of Spark Dance Program. And Kings Floyd, a writer and disability rights activist who performs comedy. Today's sound engineer was Chris Bridges. We had help from Maine Public's TV production coordinator, Nick Godfrey. And thank you to our ASL interpreters, Kristen Williams and Polly Lawson with the Pine Tree Society. You can watch today's program again on Maine Public's YouTube channel. Maine Calling is produced by Jonathan Smith and Cindy Hahn. I'm Jennifer Rooks. You have been listening to Maine Calling on Maine Public Radio.